Now, for more analysis about the outcomes, it looks now like both Joe Biden and Donald Trump have their respective nominations. Let's bring in the Australian's Washington correspondent, Adam Creighton, live in the US. Adam, thank you so much for joining me. So it now looks,
thanks, Sharri,
pending some other unforeseen event on either parties, it now looks like both Biden and Trump have secured their respective nominations.
Yeah, certainly that's right. It looks like that we're going to have a rematch of 2020, and I think Georgia was particularly informative. They had their primary today, and of course, both of the political leaders won their relative contests. But Democrats are certainly a lot more concerned about Joe Biden's prospects for that southern state. You might recall that's the state that the Democrats won by just 12,000 votes, or roughly 12,000 votes, in 2020. And the problem for Democrats there is that support for Donald Trump among black voters has increased massively since then. And of course, this is a state with a very large population of black Americans, something like 30% compared to the national average of about 12. So it's not looking good for Biden there. And of course, it is a swing state and it's a highly popular state with lots of electoral college votes.
Look, Special Counsel Robert Hur has been grilled today over his report, where, of course, he described Biden as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. How did this play out on both sides?
Well, certainly it was 3.5 hours of sometimes fiery testimony in Congress. Look, Democrats tried to undermine his credibility for his report, and it's worth pointing out that the report was probably the single most damaging thing for Joe Biden politically in about 2 years. I mean, if you look at the betting market, support or his prospects for winning in 2020 dropped very significantly after that report came out. Because as you said, it said that he was an old man with a poor memory and somewhat confirmed what the large majority of Americans already think. So I think it was a victory probably for Republicans after the testimony. I mean, they did not undermine the man's credibility. He stuck very closely to his lengthy report. He spoke very carefully. I mean, there was one amusing point where our Democrats played a supercut of all of Donald Trump's his own gaffes, and that was quite amusing. But yes, his own gaffes. And of course, that was quite amusing. But I think for the ordinary person who is watching those, they're just simply not on the same scale. And so I think, it was a bit of an own goal there for Democrats. But yes, look, it's not looking good there for Democrats in that regard.
It's interesting because, as you just said, a lot of people think that Robert Hur's report was a win for the Republicans, but actually he didn't recommend prosecution, and he could have done so. He would have had grounds to do so.
Yes, look, that's right. But I think ultimately it was probably more damaging that they decided not to prosecute, and then they used this reason of his poor memory. I mean, I think that was politically very damaging. I think they would have rather be prosecuted, perhaps, than actually not mention anything about the memory.
Too senile to face prosecution,
right.
But not too senile to be president of the United States. But Adam, just in terms of Biden getting the nomination, there is still the possibility, though, that the Democratic Party does at some stage over the next few months decide to replace him.
Yeah, look, I think that's certainly a possibility, and maybe in Joe Biden's mind, he has decided to shock the world, and and say in July or August that he is going to step down for the reasons that we've discussed. That is entirely possible. Certainly, a growing share of the Democratic Party would like that, and yes, that there are mechanisms in the party to choose someone else at the convention in August. So there's still 8 months to go. A lot's could happen. There's certainly plenty more gaffes that are going to happen, I would say, and some of them could be particularly bad. So let's just wait and see.
Yeah, all right. Adam Creighton, really appreciate you joining us at this late hour from Washington. Thank you so much.